What if I told you one of the most stunning soaps I've ever made uses one ingredient that turns it black and another one that turns it light orange? I'm Perry, and today I will show you how to make this insane half charcoal and half sea buckthorn oil soap with neroli essential oil. This isn't just pretty, it's functional. Charcoal detoxifies and deep cleans. Sea buckthorn oil is loaded with vitamin C, and neroli, it smells like a luxury citrus garden. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to create this soap yourself. I will show the exact recipe and how to make the recipe. You will understand the properties of the different oils and how to tweak the ratios to make the soap suitable for your own skin. My aim is not only to make you learn how to copy recipes, but how to formulate your own and how to adjust your own to your own needs or to your customer needs if you're planning to make your own soap making business. First, why charcoal and sea buckthorn oil? Apart from their beautiful ingredients visually, there are some functional properties too. Activated charcoal is a magnet for impurities. It draws out oil, dirt and impurities from your skin. It's incredibly good for oily or acne prone skin. Plus, it gives this dramatic matte dark color, which is amazing. Sea buckthorn oil, I love this color, but apart from that, it also contains omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, and it's packed with vitamin C. But it's a bit expensive, more expensive than your typical oils like olive oil and so on. That's why, as you will see, we will use very little of it. Actually, little is enough to change the color and give you fantastic bright orange. This recipe is intermediate level, so you need to understand trace and how to move quickly. I will show you how to have control over your butter so that it doesn't accelerate fast, it doesn't solidify fast, and how to separate it into two different batches, add your colorants and move fast, pour it into the mold, insulate it, and have it ready the next day. So let's break down the recipe. As you will see, it contains olive oil, coconut oil, shea butter, and castor oil. Olive oil is at 40%. Olive oil contains oleic acid, which gives a lot of conditioning properties to your soap. If you have too high concentration of olive oil, your soap might feel a bit greasy, especially if you don't cure it correctly. So we keep it at 40%. This will create a really good balance. Then we add 29% of coconut oil. Coconut oil is high in lauric acid, and what coconut oil does is that it gives a lot of bubbles to your soap. So it's what makes soap fun in a sense. But sometimes if you have too high concentration of coconut oil, your soap might be too drying. So people who have very sensitive or dry skin, they might want to lower down the coconut oil to adjust it to their needs. For example, if you make a soap that has 100% coconut oil, you cannot use it on you. It's perfect for your disease. So I usually make a soap that has 95% coconut oil plus 5% castor oil and 0% superfat. And this is ideal to clean the disease. Then we're adding shea butter. Shea butter is high in stearic acid and palmitic acid, and what shea butter does is that it gives structure, creaminess and hardness to your soap. It creates an amazing balance between coconut oil and the rest. So coconut oil and shea butter creates an amazing balance, because from one side you have something that is very cleansing, from the other side you have something that is very creamy and moisturizing. So the two go very well together. And then our fourth ingredient is castor oil. Castor oil, we only add 6%. And the reason we add 6% is because castor oil is high in ricinoleic acid. And if you add too much, it might get too sticky. So you want to add 6%, that's how much I add, and that will add a lot of thickness to your lather. Olive oil, conditioning. Coconut oil, cleansing and bubbles. Shea butter, creaminess and moisturizing. And then castor oil, thickness. All four together create an amazing balanced soap. Then we will have sea buckthorn oil. We will add just very few drops of it because it's very thick, it's very orange. I have it actually here. So even if you add this few drops of that, your whole batch will turn actually yellowish orange. So it's enough. You don't need a lot of that. And then we will add our charcoal powder, which is an exfoliating agent as well. After we do that, we will add our essential oil blend. So for today, I'm gonna use patchouli as a base, and then I'm gonna use lavender and neroli essential oil, which I love. Let's talk numbers. I will show you how to make the same exact recipe in soapcalc.net. And what we will see here is that Soapcalc provides you with this scoring of how your soap will look like. So it tells us, for example, that hardness scores at 41, which is between the optimal range of 29 to 54. Cleansing scores at 19, which means it's between the optimal range of 12 to 22, and so on. So that will give you a good indication of how your soap will look like. For example, if you make a soap with very high concentration of coconut oil, it will be way above the range of 22. That tells you that your soap is very bubbly and might also be quite drying for the skin. Quick pause. If you're new to this channel and you're looking to level up your soap making, I've created a free beginner's PDF recipe, a balanced recipe that will help you to start out. It shows you how to calculate your own recipe in Soapcalc. It teaches you about the different properties of the main oils you use to make the perfect soap, and it has also the recipe itself. As I said, my aim is to make you understand how oils work so that you can design your own recipes and not just copy recipes. So just comment soap and I will send it to you for free. So now first we're going to prepare our lye solution. Our lye solution consists of lye or sodium hydroxide and water. Now, what is lye or sodium hydroxide? Sodium hydroxide is the agent that basically converts oils, which is shea butter, coconut oil, olive oil and castor oil, into soap and glycerin. So you will ask, is there any lye in the soap? Like the ones we are washing with, is there any lye in the final product? If you do everything correctly, there shouldn't be any lye left. It's just an intermediate that helps the saponification reaction to happen, and then it's gone. How do we ensure that there is nothing left? We always add what's called superfat. So we usually add 5% superfat, which means it's the extra oils you add on top of your oils that do not react with sodium hydroxide. Now, when it comes to lye, there's one non-negotiable rule. You always add the lye in the water, never the other way around. So if you add water in the lye, you will risk having a highly exothermic reaction that creates a lot of fumes and might be dangerous for you. So always add the lye in the gloves, protective gear like glasses as well, and work in a well-ventilated area is non-negotiable. One other thing, if you want to handle lye solution with a lot of safety, is that you can take your lye water and you can freeze it. And then you can add your lye slowly and stir it. And what will happen is that if your lye water is frozen, it will not release a lot of heat, a lot of fumes, so you will have a more safe reaction overall. This is a very good strategy, especially if you're working with milk or juices where you're replacing your lye water with milk like coconut milk or goat milk, or you're replacing your lye water with juice like carrot juice or watermelon juice, for example. These contain a lot of sugars, and when those sugars react with lye, they tend to create a lot of heat and a lot of fumes. So if you actually make sure to keep those cold, like frozen, and add your lye slowly, you will actually make sure you have a very safe procedure. So I'm gonna go ahead, I've measured my lye water, I've measured my lye itself, I'm gonna add the lye here, I'm gonna stir, and what I'm gonna do, actually right now it's very cold outside, it's -10. I'm literally just gonna take the solution outside to cool down. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my lye slowly, and then I'm going to mix, and I'm gonna take it outside where it's very, very, very cold and let it cool down. Now we're gonna melt our hard oils over a double boiler. So we have coconut oil and shea butter that I have already measured. I'm gonna put them over a double boiler, and once they're melted, we're gonna add our liquid oils, which is gonna be olive oil and castor oil. Then we're also gonna take that outside where it's very cold. We're gonna wait for both the oils and lye solution to cool down to 29-30 degrees, and then we're gonna mix them together. Let's go. Here is our coconut oil and shea butter melting over a double boiler. Our coconut oil and shea butter are melted, so let's go ahead and add our liquid oils, which is olive oil and castor oil. I'm gonna start with castor oil. So we're adding 6% castor oil. And then we're gonna go ahead and add 40% olive oil. And if you ever feel like you made a mistake with soap making, you should remember that once I switched olive oil with castor oil, so instead of adding olive oil, I added 40% castor oil, which completely ruined the whole batch. So I always check if it's actually olive oil. So now our oils and butter solution is ready. So we're gonna take it outside to cool down together with our lye solution. So let's talk about perfumes and essential oil blends. So when it comes to essential oil blends, you can add anything from 30 to 50 grams per 1,000 grams of oils. So for this recipe, we have 1,000 grams of oils and butters. I'm gonna go ahead and add 50 grams total of essential oils because I really love to have very strong scent. If you're very sensitive to scents, you might want to add 30 grams per 1,000 grams of oils. So this is 3% basically. So what I always do with essential oil blends is that we start with our base. I like to add around 20% base, and base is basically these chemicals that are of high molecular weight, and they make your whole essential blend solution more long lasting. So they evaporate very, very, very slowly. One really nice base that you could add is patchouli essential oil. So patchouli is basically very herbal, and some people say that it reminds them of memories of the 60s. That's how they call it. So I like to use it a lot. It goes well with a lot of different oils. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 10 grams of patchouli, and then I'm gonna go with lavender, which is one of my favorites, of course. And for lavender, we're also gonna add around 20%. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add neroli essential oil. Wow, it smells amazing. And as always, when you make your own essential oil blend, always smell it to see how it looks like. So I'm using, as a base note, I'm using patchouli. As a middle note, I'm using lavender, which is more like a blender because it blends really well with patchouli. And as a top note, I'm using neroli essential oil. So right now, it's very cold outside, so our oils and lye solution are in very low similar temperatures. But why do we want that? So when you work with very low temperatures, around 30 degrees Celsius, and you mix your oils and lye solution at low similar temperature, it means that you have more control over your soap butter. The higher the temperature, the faster the saponification reaction happens, which means if the saponification reaction happens very fast, it will start solidifying really fast your soap butter, and you might not have a lot of time to work with your colors and to pour it in your mold. So this is the so-called trace acceleration, and we don't want that. So right now we want to have full control over our soap butter, so we want to mix at low similar temperatures, then we're gonna split it so that we add the sea buckthorn oil, the charcoal, and once we do that, we are ready to go ahead and pour it into the mold. At the very end, we're gonna add our essential oil blend. Now why? Our essential oil blend, a lot of essential oils are known to accelerate trace, basically help the soap butter solidify faster and the saponification reaction to speed up. That's why we want to add it at the very, very, very end, right before we put it into the mold. We add it We mix fast, we pour it into the mold quickly. If we don't do it quickly, again, you might end up with something that is very, very solid before you put it into the mold, and it's hard to work with. It's not very pleasant. Are you guys ready? Let's go. And we are ready to start work. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the lye solution into the oils and butter, and here I'm using a stick blender. The reason I'm doing that is to avoid any turbulence from the pouring. But don't worry, I'm gonna show you a way afterwards to remove any trapped air bubbles from your soap butter. Look how beautiful. So we can see right now the oils and lye solution are becoming one. The emulsification is taking place right now. So this is a really good time for us to split the butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and take another bowl, pour some of it here, just like that. That's almost half of it. And I will pour a third one here. So in this one, I'm gonna add a bit of white mica. Then in this one, I'm gonna add some charcoal. This is gonna be beautiful. So with charcoal, I like to add 1 tablespoon per pound of oils or per half a kilo of oils. And now to this one, we're gonna go ahead and add sea buckthorn oil. Look at this, look how beautiful it is. You see, you only need a few drops and it turns into this amazing, phenomenal color. So here I want to add part of the essential oil blend inside, in this one. Then I'm gonna add part of this essential oil blend in this one. And part of this here. Let's go ahead and pour everything into the mold. Wow, fantastic. Now, let's add the sea buckthorn oil on top of here to create an extra very beautiful color. And then let's continue with the black and white. And then let's end with some sea buckthorn oil. You can see, I love it when it blends like that. To just mix it nicely all together. And now I'm gonna tap the mold to remove any trapped air bubbles. And I'm gonna shake so that the soap butter goes everywhere. Look at this, it's beautiful. So right now our soap mold is insulated with some towels. One optional thing that you can do is that you can set your mold into the oven at the lowest possible temperature. I mean the lowest one, like just turning on the light. which is like 30 degrees Celsius or so. What that will do is that it will speed up the saponification reaction, the gel phase, and it will help intensify the colors. Now, that doesn't mean that you should do that in every soap batch you have. In some cases, for example, if you replace your lye water with juice, like fruit juice, or with milk, you might end up overheating your soap butter, and putting it into the oven will be a very bad idea. It might lead to the so-called volcano effect, where your soap gets too hot and it starts floating out of the soap mold. But in this case, we don't have anything that might really accelerate and heat up the soap butter a lot, so it's safe to put it in the oven just for 2 hours, because it will really help intensify our colors and make them look very bright afterwards. And then we're gonna leave it for 20 hours to cure, 20 hours in the towels to insulate, and afterwards we're gonna unwrap it, cut it, stamp it. We're gonna talk about how to stamp properly and how to cure properly, and then I'm gonna show you how to make the recipe. So guys, see you in 24 hours. Look at that. It's beautiful. So let's remove it from the mold. So what I like to do now is that I like to use a peeler to remove the edges that are a bit rough. You don't have to do that, this is just my own preference. And now we are ready to cut the soap. This is a homemade soap cutter, but you can find a lot of different soap cutters online, or make your own. And there you go. Now let's talk about stamping. So stamping is very critical because of course it helps with brand awareness and brand identity. But what's interesting about stamping is that I personally have this stamp. It has this wooden handle and this metal part here. So I noticed in certain cases, if I stamp directly with the metal part on the soap, sometimes what happens is that it creates these orange spots, as you see here, for example. So it has the so-called dreaded orange spots, which basically happens when oils go rancid and oxidize, which can also be accelerated by the metal stamp. And it only happens where the stamp logo is here. And DOS, by the way, is not dangerous, so you can still use the soap. It's aesthetically not very pretty. So in order to avoid that now, I just use a plastic membrane in between the stamp and the soap to have it as perfect as possible. So it can be something like that. I like to stamp the top for this one. And it would look like that. So you can see the logo here. Our soap is ready and it looks amazing. You see the charcoal part here, you see the sea buckthorn oil part here, and then the plain white soap here. Blends perfectly together, creating this amazing soap that is very balanced, so it's both cleansing and moisturizing and creamy at the same time. And thank you so much for watching all the way to here. Now what we are gonna do now is that first we're gonna take some amazing photos with the photo box. The photo box is the single best soap making investment that you can make for your business or for your hobby. It's a $50 investment that makes your soaps look very professional. I'm gonna show you now in a bit. And then I'm also gonna show you how to make your own recipe in soapcalc.net. I hope this video inspired you to start soap making, to have control over what touches your skin, and most importantly, to be able to formulate your own skin recipes. That's what I want for you. I don't want you to just copy recipes. I want you to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna change the concentration of coconut oil here because I don't want to be so cleansing and drying. Or I want to increase the shea butter concentration here because I want to be more creamy. Or I want to replace this ingredient with something else because it adds vitamin E or some other properties that are very beneficial for the skin. So I hope I could add more value to you with that. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Click the subscribe button if you like this video. Comment down below your suggestions if you want us to try something else next time. And let's go check the photo box. This right here, this is my photo box. It's the single best investment I made for my soap business. It basically has these reflections here that you can adjust the lighting and everything to take professional photos. It only costs $50 on Amazon, and it takes your pictures from amateur to professional. Let me show you. So you just basically place one of them here, the other one however you want to place it, and then you can take your picture with your phone or with your camera. And here's how it looks like. You see, it's just beautiful. Perfect. Welcome to the Soapcalc.net tutorial, and here I'm going to show you how you make your own recipe. First we go to the type of lye, and since we're making cold processed solid soap, we're using sodium hydroxide. If you were to make liquid soap, you would use potassium hydroxide. And then we go to the weight of oils. I will use grams because I live in Europe, and I will add 1,000 grams for this recipe. Water, I'll go ahead and add 33%, meaning we will have 33% of our lye solution will be lye, and the rest 67% will be water. For the superfat, we'll leave it at 5%. This is the typical one. And for fragrance ratio, I used 50 grams per kilo. This is on the higher end. Now let's go ahead and measure our oils. So our highest concentration oil is our olive oil. I'm gonna go ahead and add that. Then I'm gonna add the coconut oil. Then I'm gonna add the shea butter, which is here. And then I'm gonna add the castor oil, which is here. So olive oil we add 40%, coconut oil we add 29%, shea butter we add 25%, and castor oil we add 6%. Then I click calculate recipe, view or print recipe, and then I get this beautiful here PDF that basically shows me everything I need to know. It tells me how much water I need to add, how much lye I need to add. Then it tells me the amount of oils, 400 grams of olive oil, 290 grams of coconut oil, and so on. Now what's really good about Soapcalc is that it also gives you a scoring of your recipe, and it tells you how your recipe will look like. So for example, we have here that our recipe has a hardness of 41, which is between the optimal range of 29 to 54. Cleansing is at 19, which is between 12 and 22. And with those values, you can basically predict how your soap will look like. So if you have, for example, a soap that is made with 100% coconut oil, the cleansing here will be very, very high, way above the normal range. And that's because it's going to be super cleansing. And you will have a very high concentration of lauric acid, a bit of myristic acid, and basically none of the other ones. Those will be zero if you have only coconut oil. So with this thing you can have a prediction of how your soap bar will behave. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching all the way to here. That I really appreciate that, and I'll see you guys next time.